In anticipation for the most exciting yet awful book that's due to be released tomorrow, we're going to be looking at some of the excerpts from the 107-day campaign book, the account by Kamala Harris about why she lost. If you remember, Hillary Clinton also made a book called, I think, What Happened, and that went swimmingly for her. Obviously not. Anyway, so let's see some of the excerpts. Apparently, both Democrats and Republicans are confused why she would release this. She's throwing all the Democrats under the bus, including Joe Biden, who probably is too senile to even read at this point or remember what was read. But interestingly enough, let's get to the news. So the first tidbit we're going to cover here is going to be the thing she said about Pete Buttigieg. Now, if you remember, Pete Buttigieg was the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, which is really a crapshoot of a place. Very, very trashy, horrible mayor, first gay mayor or something like that. I don't know. He's the sociopath that's trying to become president ever since childbirth, more or less kind of like Gavin Newsom, but like the one that was shoved into lockers version of Gavin Newsom. Anyway, so Pete Buttigieg, again, to his credit, is like a genius, or at least he's really good at talking. He's again a sociopath, silver-tongued, whatever you want to call it, snake-tongued. And Kamala really liked him. Again, a lot of girls are hags, and they like having these gay dudes as their best friend. Anyway, so she wanted him to be the first choice to be the VP selection in 24. That being said, though, apparently she was of the idea and was too cynical to really have him over because of her being a black woman on the ticket and then having the VP selection being a gay guy. And she's like, oh, America's not ready for that, which again, more this millennial Obama garbage, like, oh, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon, this woke nonsense. The reason why people wouldn't vote for Kamala is not because the VP would be gay. It's probably because you suck as a candidate. Like, for example, Tim Walz might as well be gay. He's definitely in the closet, in my opinion, right? So it seems as if she's coping, and what this coping is doing is giving her catharsis. There's a running theory that she's an alcoholic, so she probably likes self-soothing. And then this is like a Sistine Chapel of cope by saying, well, I lost the election because it was only 107 days that I could have ran for president. I had to rush everything. Oh, my husband didn't plan my birthday party. Oh, Pete Buttigieg, he's gay, even though I liked him, so that's America's fault. Anyway, another tidbit I wanted to talk about is about her apparently spending pages lavishing praise on Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and his family, which is interesting because she described him as the second choice, obviously after Buttigieg. So again, emasculating to be like, yeah, you were my backup, but I love you as a backup. You're my side chick, you're my bottom chick, and you're great. Okay, another tidbit is going to be about Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania. Shapiro, apparently an electoral juggernaut, according to most people. Again, on paper, a very strong candidate. Sounds like Obama. He's a skinwalker of Obama, despite being very much different skin shades. But anyway, on paper, you would have thought, okay, Pennsylvania is the biggest swing state. You should probably pick the governor that's popular from there. She did not, and let's see why she apparently did that. So he came ultimately too much across like he was too ambitious to be trusted as a number two, which again is a problem because if he's outshining you, that probably means that he should be the nominee and not you, Kamala. So it's kind of like the cynical kind of like King Herod to Jesus where, oh, you're going to overtake me? Well, let me end you. Let me nip you in the bud. And it's like, okay, well, that's not great for the country, isn't it? In one unflattering anecdote, she recalls the Pennsylvania governor measuring the figurative drapes in the vice president's residence, musing about art by Pennsylvanians he could display there. A spokesperson for Shapiro said it was simply ridiculous, end quote, to suggest Shapiro was focused on anything other than defeating Trump. So the whole thing is, well, you're too self-centered, you're too ambitious, you want to become president, and it's like, well, okay, mirror check. Have you seen a mirror, Kamala? Number one. Number two, if you're getting outshone by someone, you should just duck out. I get it, people are selfish, but if you're that ill-equipped, where some 5'6" governor of Pennsylvania that honestly is just aping Obama, who himself was BS artist, then you really have to look in the mirror, like I said, because there's a good reason why you lost. I think Shapiro, if he were going against Trump in 24, would have put up a better fight. Obviously, anybody could observe that, maybe even flip Pennsylvania back to blue. So, I don't know. Then it gets even spicier, right? So apparently Shapiro took a swipe of his own on a podcast released this Thursday with Stephen A. Smith, who's another charlatan, saying Harris has further explaining to do on why she did not speak out sooner about then President Joe Biden's diminishing capacity to run again, which is an interesting part of the blame game. This is really giving shades of Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper, who, like most Democrats, almost all of them, for several years said, Joe, no, he's fine. He's sharper than ever, as said Joe Scarborough. And anybody with the brain could understand the guy was slowing down. Not to say that he wasn't capable of, I don't know, maybe managing a Dairy Queen, which I really doubt, but I mean, at least acknowledge that the guy was slipping. People like Shapiro, who wasn't really close to Biden for obvious reasons, again, Shapiro would have been honest in saying, hey, yo, the guy shouldn't run for president again. But he, like Kamala, played dumb. In this quote, Shapiro says she's going to have to answer to how she was in the room and yet never said anything publicly. Okay. Now, that is obviously true. The fault of not going to the public before and saying this guy has dementia or whatever have you obviously squarely falls on Kamala before it does anybody else, aside from Joe. But again, you're the governor. You should know the president well enough. I've never met Joe Biden, and I could tell he had dementia. Have you met Joe Biden for more than, what is it, 1 single second? Okay, well, then you have more of a reason than me to come out and be like, this guy is out of it. And yet you didn't, Shapiro. So I love the infighting, but the hypocrisy is palpable, and we all taste it in the air. Now, there's some minutia I'm going to cover here. Apparently, Harris's relationship with Biden is the fraught undercurrent of the book, which makes sense. She acknowledges the, in quote, recklessness of the octogenarian seeking re-election and shares anecdotes of Biden displaying puzzling behavior, such as calling her just before the debate against Trump to relay complaints from his own brother that she wasn't sufficiently loyal to Biden, which is kind of weird. Obviously, weird timing from Joe, very self-obsessed by that nature, or, in the context. Also, she says it was reckless for Joe to run. Again, the obvious question. I know I'm beating a dead horse here, and Joe is still alive, so I'll keep going. Apparently, oh, Joe, yeah, I mean, guys, sorry, yeah, Joe was not in condition to run. It's like, well, you defended him up until you got the job. You know what I mean? Like, come on, this is bullshit. This was an open secret, to be clear. Open secret. Come on. That's as good as I'm gonna give you an excuse to say, because like everybody could tell that the guy was out of it. And so then now, like Jake Tapper, right? Now that the going is not good anymore, now that Trump's in power, well, yeah, no, this old guy, yeah, no, he was trash. He was a throwaway. It's like, okay, you knew that the entire freaking time. In fact, the reason why it was so lucrative to be the VP to Biden was because he was so damn old that, yeah, he could have made you the president inadvertently, be it a stroke, an aneurysm, brain bleed, whatever. So come on. Now, this is very keynote. So apparently, Harris was also protective of Biden in the book, attesting to his command of the issues and defending his poor performance in the disposition with special counsel Robert Hur. Now, for context, that multi-hour thing that lasted two separate sittings with Robert Hur was awful. I only, could skim through a couple hours of the several hours because, again, it was really boring. I mean, it is Sleepy Joe after all. But the dementia was really bad. Like, and this was 2023. So just imagine how much worse it got the year after the fact. Imagine him now. So yeah, no, it was really bad, and she's defending it because, of course, she's a snake or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, the toughest assessments of Biden in her book come from the political advisors, not Harris. Okay, and she continually returns to the theme of loyalty as a principle guiding her tenure as vice president. Which, again, very awkward thing because on one hand, yeah, you do want to come off as loyal to most people for obvious reasons. However, if you're loyal to a bad if you're anchoring yourself to something that's bad, like a bad ship or something, then it's not good, right? So anchoring yourself to Eisenhower if you're Nixon, that's great. Anchoring yourself to Ronald Reagan as George Bush, that's great too. Anchoring yourself to Joe Biden as Harris, though, not the best. So on one hand, I want to be loyal because people want to make sure I'm not a Machiavellian, right? That's disconcerting. But then again, you should just throw Biden under the bus. She should have done that from the outset a year ago, and then I don't think she would have won, but it would have been closer because Joe was unpopular. You have to sell yourself as different, right? Like John McCain and George Bush, very similar people, politics-wise. So of course he freaking lost when George Bush, the incumbent president or whatever, was very unpopular. You would need somebody completely out of the box, a maverick really, not the one that was so-called one, to have a chance against Obama in '08 because there was a fucking Great Recession. So come on. And for the last thing I'm going to read today, apparently one of these Democrats says, look, if she had won the presidency and this was the story about how she overcame obstacles with the Democrat Party to eke out a narrow victory, that would actually be interesting, said Adam Green, okay? But none of it is relevant. Josh Shapiro measuring the drapes is not even a drop in the bucket compared to the fact that she is in no way, on a gut level, capable of connecting to working people in a year when that was the dominant thing to do in order to win. So that actually is something I can agree with, okay? So shout out Adam Green, the co-founder of the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, because I doubt I can agree with much else with that person. So anyways, it seems to me as if this book is going to be something that's going to be a goddamn goldmine, and so that's really up my wheelhouse. So let's make sure I get that book by tonight or tomorrow, and we're going to make more content on it most likely. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want more content like this, comment down below. what your thoughts are on the video. In particular, what makes you think that Kamala should have released this? Because, like, in my opinion, it's like you're, airing out all the dirty laundry of the people that will endorse you in 2028, presumably if you run. So then why would you throw them under the bus? Or are you not going to run? And so then you're dishing everything out, knowing that, like, okay, well, you're not going to lose an election because you're not even going to try. So might as well gossip about Buttigieg and Shapiro and Biden. I don't know. I honestly, I'm undecided as of now. So I'll have to read the book that's 300 pages sometime this week, and we'll get to the bottom of it. But until then, I'll see y'all in the next one. Adios.